Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for being here today. Hi, people online. It's so nice to have you here. Welcome to the Doers to Doers. So for those of you who haven't been to a Doers to Doers yet, what is the Doers to Doers? It is a conversation between an experienced entrepreneur, an expert who has helped other entrepreneurs on the same subject, and you, the audience, with your questions. So the subject that we have chosen today is sales. The title of the event is How We Reach €1 million turnover without a sales team, and that is David's story. And Vincent has been helping a lot of entrepreneurs on their sales strategy, and he's going to help us analyze the story of David. And of course, now the goal is that you ask right now the questions in the chat, but also in the room. What is your biggest struggle with sales today? You have come here today for a reason. You all have very busy schedules. The reason why you came here is because you have a question that is unanswered. My goal, our goal, is to have this question answered right now. So let's begin. David, can you tell us a little bit more about Leadjet that became Surf?
Exactly, yeah. So we were Leadjet before, and we actually did a rebranding now like 6 months ago. And what we actually do is we connect your LinkedIn with your CRM. So you probably know Salesforce, HubSpot, etc. And when you work in sales, what we hate is actually manual data entry, because it takes hours away per week. It takes like on average 4 hours. And what we thought, okay, why not bringing the CRM to the place where sales is, so on LinkedIn, and have an easy add to CRM button where you can extract all the profile information in one click and have it in your CRM. So it's a big time saver, it's a productivity tool. And yeah, we are here for 3 years now.
3 years,
and,
okay.
Both HEC graduates, and happy to be here. Yeah.
Great, thank you. And so David is also, so their startups was incubated at the HEC incubator, and Vincent is also an expert from the HEC incubator. So Vincent, why have you come today?
Because you asked me to. I'm kidding. Okay, that was a joke.
I told him not to say that.
I'm here because I've seen a lot of startups. I did my own startup. I know how not to do 1 million euros. And I've seen a lot of companies who are really struggling, to make a turnover and profit. And basically they are like a few main mistakes they all do. So I do think it's a time for you to have this information, so you won't do it.
Okay, thank you, Vincent. David, I'm going to ask it as it comes. How did you reach €1 million without a sales team?
Yeah, that's the magical question. So first of all, I think, how do you start? So you start first building a product out of a pain point. So we both were not coming from sales. We never used the CRM, but we saw, why do we need to extract 100 profiles and need to do the job manually in our CRM? So we thought, okay, let's build something. That was the first step. But then as founders, you're kind of overwhelmed because you need to build the product, you need to get marketing out, you need to get sales in. So how can you do? Either you hire people, but we were bootstrapped, so we had no money, so no people to hire. Or you look for alternative ways. And for us, it was partnerships. Okay. As we are integrating to 2 platforms, LinkedIn and the CRM, for us it was clear, okay, we need to get closer to HubSpot. How can we do that? And then we kind of, in HEC, you know, you learn a lot of consulting. So basically we were looking at how is HubSpot making revenue? And what is their value metric? And we found out that HubSpot, like the number of contacts you have in your CRM, drives their revenue. Because the more contacts you have in the CRM, the higher plan you need to have.
Oh, yeah.
So basically what we thought, let's directly work into this value metric. Now it's 1 click instead of taking 4 minutes to add a new contact. So people ended up adding more contacts in a shorter time. Ergo, HubSpot made more revenue in a shorter time. And that's what we said to HubSpot. Hey, that's what we are bringing to the table. Look at the product usage after 3 months. Only HubSpot 3 months with Surf, and they saw way more revenue. And that's how we started to get a partnership here.
So if I summarize what you're saying, you said that what you have looked at is who can benefit from our product, but who can benefit from distributing our product instead of ourselves.
Exactly.
Okay. Vincent, is this something that is like quite common? Is it easy to implement? Is it hard? How do you find those people?
That's one of the first mistakes people do. Most of the time, they do too many things, and it's very important to be able to say in one sentence or two sentences exactly what you do and why it has a lot of value for people. And sometimes, when it's some people can not understand it. So, like, that's the reason why we went to talk to people who understand it. Like, hey, HubSpot, you understand the value of doing it, so I should talk to you. And so, don't talk to everyone. Only talk to people who can understand it. I have an example. There was a data analytic company which was doing like something like much better than Google Analytics. And at first, they were talking to e-commerce business. But you know, those people that they were like, okay, we have Google Analytics, it's free. I don't know why I should go for your very nice solution. So then what we did, we switched to talk to data consulting companies, and that was the sweet spot, because those people were like, I understand, like from like the first second you speak, I understand the value of what you do, and yes, and we will sell it on behalf of you. And well, that worked quite well. So yes, first make sure that it's very simple and talk to people who can understand what you speak about, understand the value.
Yeah, and actually often it's also not easy, because now we have investors, and investors want you to sell the vision, of course, but the vision you can't sell to your customers because you're not yet there with the product. It's the same when you go into a restaurant. You don't like to be in a restaurant where they serve American food, where they serve Indian food, where they serve, I don't know, like Italian food. So we do so much, but nothing right. So just like serve what you do right, and one pain point, and this is what you need to sell, basically.
Yeah, so you want to be specialized. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I need to have people to understand the value. I just thought about it. I have it in my pocket. For instance, if I ask you for €1 on behalf for this 20 euro bill, everyone will want it because you understand it. If I talk to, maybe some of you have kids. If I speak to one of of your kids, say, hey, here is 20. Give me something in return. They will be like, no, I don't know it. So they don't understand the value. So I should speak to you to sell this bill of 20, and that's the same thing for everything. So, yeah.
Okay. So now I want to open the floor to you guys. So can you share a little bit about, like, very quickly what your business is, and also online? I'm very curious. What are your startups, and what is it that you are struggling with right now on sales? And based on what David and Vincent just said, do you see how it can apply to your business, or is it still kind of hard to do? Feel free to ask us anything, and we'll answer.
If we can.
Of course. That's the goal. You have to.
We had some discussions before, and I've seen that there are some people launching a startup, a SaaS startup. One is about communities. I've spoken to people who are launching agencies. So I'm just, so you know who I'm talking about, so don't be shy.
So start, I'm making an agency, a web agency, and I'm struggling because I have a lot of coding to do, and I don't know anything about selling, business, and finance. That's why I'm here.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, so web agency, you create probably websites and branding maybe as well for your customers. How do you showcase these websites? Where do you showcase these? So yeah, for instance, I mean, we just went through rebranding, and there's plenty of ways where you also can get, like, from SEO perspective, senior websites. So there's One Page Law, for instance, there's Lapa Ninja, there's awards where you can showcase your products, Dribbble, Behance as well. And I think investing into SEO, even for a website creating agency, can also be very useful to try. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. There is just one thing with SEO, so it takes some time for you to appear on top. I have a question for you. What is your agency about? Because you just said about agency, so I don't know what's about.
It's a web development agency, so we are focusing on really new technology.
Like all the agencies, right? Like all the other agencies?
Yes. Yeah,
okay,
I have no especially...
I'm pushing you a little bit. The only thing is that first, congratulations, because yes, take your phone, call people, so you will see if it works or not. Like, and you will see, I'm sure that you see that, you say, hey, I have a web agency. People are just like, okay, like the other ones, bye. So like if you do that more and more and more, later on you will find your singularity, which will make you different to the other ones. I've spoken to someone in the audience earlier, doing an agency as well, and he told me, yeah, I'm doing an agency with my father and my brother. Who was that? It's you, see? Well, I'm sure you will have questions after that, but you, like that can be a singularity. Okay, well, you know, we have this very specific web agency where we take the benefits from all the generations. Oh, that's something different. Okay, an agency with an old guy. I guess your father is older than you, like it should be. So maybe that will ring a bell to people, and so on and so forth. So try to find your singularity and make sure that when you call someone, you're just like, hey, this is why I'm special. So maybe that will ring a bell to you. And if not, do you know someone who would be interested in such an agency?
And sometimes you also need to be careful because you come off as too salesy. So how can you actually solve that? Because otherwise they always think like, hey, you're asking for my credit cards, and there's like this credit card sign over your head. So how we did actually do is customer discovery. So we came to them as a product manager. Hey, we want to build a product, and you can be part of it. So maybe you can analyze websites where you see companies, they got a fundraising or whatever, you know they have money. You look at their websites and you ask them like, hey, we saw new trends, would be this trend like also like fitting for you? Do you think it could be nice? And then you include them, and maybe you get to a stage where they say, actually, that could be nice. I think I could imagine my website like looking like this as well. And then you come in easier because you come in as like, hey, I'm doing discovery, and not I'm being salesy. So this often helps, and this is how we sold to Google and AWS actually, by coming in as discovery.
That's great, and I feel like what you are talking about is also, it all bounced back a lot about like the relation that you are creating with whoever you're selling the product to. I know that when we were preparing this conference, Vincent, you said something very specific about the relationships. How about like sales is only relationships, and like having a good relationship whoever you're talking to. And
that's gold. I mean, that's gold. You're not selling to companies, you're selling to people. And now there are two ways of doing a relationship. Either you do a one-on-one relationship, or you do a one-to-many relationship. That's called being an influencer, being a YouTuber or whatever. There is, Theo from HEC, like he did Kudak. It's an agency like this agency. It is 2 or 3 years old. But this guy didn't hesitate to take his phone and be like, hey, I will show you what we're doing. I'm a nice guy, and I love my clients. So, you know, now he has a lot of followers, so that's a way to create a relationship. It's a one-way relationship. And the other one, of course, is to make sure that you really care about the person in front of you. And the best way to show that you care about someone is by following up. Of course, using a CRM, and of course, if you use a CRM, you need to use Surf. Anyways, but you know, like, for instance, last week, I've been speaking to one guy, a director of a big agency, and he told me he was doing honey on weekends. So yesterday at Saint-Lazare, I saw some people selling honey, so I just took a picture and sent it to him, and you know, it was just nice. It's relationship is all of these little something that are nothing, but makes all the world difference.
Anaïs, I think you wanted to share a little bit about your business and maybe your questions.
Yes, so we make an anti-aggression and self-defense smart bomber jacket for women to feel safer in public spaces. So, for example, street harassment, kidnapping, stuff like that. So we just started actually doing the pre-sales with no budget whatsoever, like only organic. And it's going pretty well, but yeah, I was just curious. Like, did you have like a specific question? Like,
and how to dump the sales even bigger, because we have like a community organic, but not that big. And yeah, we just wanted to go on sale and have the pre-sale. But did you guys have some tips to make it even more like bigger? You think?
I don't know. Like for things like this, for instance, I have a friend in Frankfurt who drops, this is like in fashion, but who drops seasons. So he calls them season 1, season 2. So it's limited. So maybe there's always a change in the jacket or whatever. You can do that. And you drop it with seasons to have the community feeling inside, and only you can share it on Instagram to have a drop down or whatever, give a code away or something like this. And then you call it season 1, season 2, season 3. It's like Netflix, you know. You want to be kind of engaged with it from season 1, and then you will buy maybe also season 5. I don't know. This is like, it's not my home turf, but maybe it could be one idea. to just call it differently.
First, of course, because we don't know your company. So, do you sell directly to end consumer or through boutiques and shops?
Yeah, B2C for now, like just online.
B2C, okay. There is always a lot of ways to sell your product to make it bigger. The first thing is to list all of them, and try to assess which one works the best. Test all the time. Like, it's like all the go-to-market strategies. Basically, it's every week try 3 new things, and at the end of the week, just check which one had the best results. Of course, yes, metrics and so on. And maybe in your list, one of them will be like doing the TV show Qui veut être mon associé. So why not? So okay. Push for this one. I do believe that if you go on TV, so people from from the TV show, there's a nice company to show on TV. So yeah, list all of the things. There are many things. Facebook, how you speak about what you do. What is all the value propositions, all the time. So you will find many. But we'll speak about it later if you want.
So what I'm hearing is you have a couple of things that could help you grow from organic sales to like the bigger stage, and that is to create a community around your product through different techniques. So if you're in fashion, it could be like season. If you're on software, it could be like early access to some features. I guess you have also a lot of content strategies. We have another Doers to Doers on content if you want to check it out. So creating the sense of community and try and make your product known to a lot of different people and through different strategies. That sounds really time consuming. So as a founder, David, how did you place the cursor between like spending all of your time into like creating those sales strategies or like doing all of the other things, recruiting, developing? There's a problem in my tech, I have to solve it, but I cannot stop selling. How did you manage your time as a founder?
I mean, there's no rule to be honest. Okay. So you do the things. So I think the most important is doing. So now we are 30 people, and sometimes you fall into the trap of a lot of communication. So then you have communication gaps, for instance. I think just going out, try stuff, test, and then iterate and test and iterate all the time. I think that's the most important, because we can talk a lot, of course, but if we don't test and do, we will never find out. And I think it all starts for us with product. So how we do product is, for instance, I always compare it to a screwdriver and a screw. So we build, instead of a toolbox, what a lot of people do at the beginning, we want to do that, we want to build this and that, la, la, la. It's way too much. So build screwdrivers who can screw the screw to 100%. So couldn't fix it to 100%. It's like you have a value gap, try to fix it to 100%. Maybe I'm very German and sometimes perfectionizing it, but it's so important, because if you then have a feature and it's only 60% filling value gap, then you go to the next feature because you want to produce, you want to ship more. It's again 60%. Your product is never flying. So just do 100%. When the 100% value gap is filled, go to the next feature. Do it 100% again. And when you have a flying product, people then see, of course, the product, they test it, it needs to be simple, short time to value, the conversion gets better. But be careful that you have 100% of this value cap filled. Yeah.
Okay, great.
That's what we call, when you have a nail, just have one
Exactly.
hammer and be like boom, boom, boom all the time, so people will know. Okay, well, surf it's for if you want to save time for your salespeople with the CRM. It's good for the commercial. Yeah. Yes. To make a long story short, to me it's exactly this. You need to test things all the time, but you need to make sure you only do a very few. So you will find what works. So don't do test dozens, but do 1, 2, because those one work. So maybe you will need to focus on a normal job and maybe to try to get into Qui veut être mon associé. And the other thing is that sell all the time. Like every time you have an occasion to speak about what you do it. Like for instance, right now you have 3,000 people online following this. People see the thing. Okay, so a little less, but you have a lot of people. You have a chance to speak about what you do. So maybe if you speak about your agency, people will be like, oh yeah, well, I've heard about this guy. I'll try to reach out to you.
We need to give you the name of the brand then.
For instance, what is the name
What's
of
the
the
name?
brand?
So it's called Bad Beach, 2 words, Bad Beach, like a beach.
Okay, and maybe you will put it in the comment because like it will remain online. So you will put it in the comment like www.
Badbeach.com.
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Never stop pitching.
One
or
at a
selling.
time, okay?
Yes, Alexandre has a question. Anaïs, do you want to pass him the mic? Thank you.
Thank you very much for the conversation. I have a question because learn and test and fail, I feel it's very startup and I totally agree. I'm looking at the client side. If I'm a client and I know you are learning, testing and failing with me, is it affecting the relationship we were talking about at the beginning? So my question is, how do you manage the learn and test that you have to do because you are building a startup and you're not perfect at the beginning, and keeping the relationship with the client to not lose sales?
I mean, be honest. Make them feel inclusive from day one. That's what I said. We are doing the product together. So the product will be not perfect. And always, your product is, by the way, as a founder, always shit. But it's not on the customer end, of course. It needs to be great. So you're always on this journey all the way long. Your product is never done together with the customer. And you need to make them feel that. So then they feel inclusive. They think like, hey, I'm an extended arm. I'm into this journey together. I can give feedback. And then it's okay if you also have faults or if you have bugs or whatever. I think once you make them to an whatever ambassador, so not call them customer maybe, and get them also to the same level excited as you are building your product, so that they have the same kind of obsession. I think that's the best way. Not faking it. Be honest. Be quick in your replies. It's like normal relationships when we also invest into relationships privately. That's it.
So this is how you got your first customers, right?
Yes, so we went actually on Facebook groups because there's a lot of sales groups, etc. We said, hey, we're currently discovering a new product, what we want to build. We're looking for beta testers who would be in. And then there were like 25, 30 people.
Okay,
and with
that's
these, and with these 25, 30 people, we built the product. And they're still now customers of ours, and we continue doing that. So
what have you? What is the very specific text that you have written? Because I know that like I've talked to some customers that are like it's hard for me to find those beta testers because everybody's so busy. How do I get people to like follow me even though I am not fully developed, even though I'm still a little bit nobody?
So I don't remember exactly because it's really,
Yeah, it must have been a
years
while.
ago. It's
Yes.
been a while. But something like straight to the point, as Vincent said, like be clear in your messaging. I think something like the kind of pencil story when you want to write something down and you need a pencil, from Wolf of Wall Street. We said the same with the CRM. How do you work with your CRM? Yeah, I put in the data manually. Here you have the value gap. So don't do it manually. And that's how we found, I think, our messaging right and our first beta
So there's
testers.
a lot to do about like the messaging so that you can get people on board quickly.
Yeah.
But when those people get on board, do not promise Wonderland. Just say, okay, we're building this together.
Yeah.
And I am not a walking credit card sign.
No.
Okay, that's very relevant. Could you? And we're gonna ask. We're gonna take more questions. I see that we have a question here. Can you expand a little bit on the partnership part? So you talked about HubSpot. So you wondered, okay, who can be interested in selling my proposition instead of me? Were there some other partnerships or like what kind of like hacks can you find to win time?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, these are big companies. So often you need to do the work to 100%. You need to deliver them something. You can't expect something from their side. So for instance, we said, hey, we want to write an ebook about social selling. It's been 90 pages big, but I was like, damn, I can't write 90 pages. I did my HEC thesis, it was 20 pages. So I don't want to write 90 pages now. So how can I do? Then I looked for influencers. Influencers, I said, hey, we're having a project with HubSpot. We didn't have a project with HubSpot yet. So I asked like...
That's the trick.
That's the trick. I asked like 5 influencers, what would you like to talk about? Every one of them was writing 10 pages. We were writing a few pages as well. We came to HubSpot, said, hey, we have these experts in social selling. We've written this book and we would love to publish it with you. They said, great, nice, I take it. And that's it. So you need to come with something to them. and presented what makes sense, of course, what plays into their customers, into their value metric. So we need to do that job before. But that's it. Yeah.
Okay, so if I sum it up, one very important thing is use what we call social proof, like, hey, I have this big name backing up, I have this big name, and also find what interest other people have in helping you. So the interest of the influencer here was probably to have an exposure next to HubSpot, near HubSpot, because it was a big name.
And then also for the distribution method, it's perfect because the influencers like to say, hey, I'm working with HubSpot, great. They have probably like 5,000 followers on LinkedIn. Great, here you have your distribution. So think about this. How can you save time for your own work? How can you save time for your partner? And yeah.
I should not say that, but there are influencers, and now there is something called ChatGPT. Maybe you've heard of it. No, but that can ease the work. Just to finalize the answer to your very interesting question, the first thing is that there is one mistake you can do, is not to reach people because you're just like, okay, what if I do wrong? Do it. And if you do wrong, there are no situations that you cannot catch up. You know, you can return any situation if you're nice, smiley, okay, and professional. Okay, so there are no solution that you cannot catch up, return. And worst case scenario, let's say, okay, well, this person hates you because maybe you did something not very good. You know, there are 8 billion people in the world, so it's okay. So every time, like when I see a lot of people, the best advice for startups when they start, they're just like, okay, well, but you know, what if it doesn't? We don't do it well. Of course, you won't do it well. You're beginning, so of course you will do all the mistakes. So maybe don't like when you, like for instance, for your example, like maybe first you try to speak to people, and then at the end you went to speak to a spot, and you were ready to speak to them. So yeah, just try. It's okay if it doesn't work.
If the first one is not buying, there's always a second one. So there would be Salesforce, there would be Pipedrive. So I think the work is not done for nothing.
Okay, interesting. Alexandre, would you be able to pass the mic in the front? Thank you.
Hello, my name is Aurora, and I'm the founder of Coco Mind. It's a corporate wellness pass that allows employees to access self-care and wellness activities in their free time. And my question for you is, first of all, it's very impressive that you bootstrapped your way to sales. But as you said, you know, relationships are everything. And how do you deal with the long-term, I would say, setbacks, psychological setbacks of getting rejections or leads that go cold, or relationships that for some reason are not moving forward or go cold?
2 ways. Either you try to warm them up, and maybe sometimes it's just a dead end, so you just switch. It's about the same thing as we said earlier. And then to warm up a relationship, there are many ways. Try to be creative. Like maybe try to call back the person and be like, oh yeah, we didn't have a good start, but right now we are writing an article for la la la. Would you be interested in? Like, try to get them on board, or try to give them something. We are having an event. Would you like to come? La 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 la. And if it's a dead end, it's a dead end. It's okay. You know, you just move to another one.
Again, yeah. So I would say first
time. Just one of the mistakes I did for the startup, one startup I founded earlier, was, you know, if you spend too much time, it's just a matter of how much time you involve and the return you get. If it takes too much time and it's not a big client, the return won't be like big. Forget about it. So try to have metrics and a timing. If you don't have timing, you will do it forever and wait. Be like, okay, no, there is one last chance. No, you don't. Okay, move on.
And always have the relationship. Always keep it alive. We're human to human. In sales, sometimes we think, okay, I need to make the sale. I have the money. Done. What happens with the customer? I don't care. So switch your mindset from money to caring, and I think that helps already a lot.
Exactly. And there is this. You put yourself into a relationship, and okay, it doesn't work. Then you put this email, this person into a nurturing cycle. So the person will receive the newsletter from you, la 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 la, and then maybe one day this person will come back to you. So.
Okay, I think that's also a very interesting question, because there is the how do you deal technically with people like not answering. But I know that I've had questions from people also, how do you deal emotionally to like rejection and like getting people like not liking your product. You can get discouraged. How did you manage that? How do you manage the no's?
How do I manage the no's? This is a difficult question.
Yeah.
I mean, I always try to turn them into yeses, but
That's the spirit.
Again, like I think being
No
honest,
emotion.
sometimes we have been in calls and they were asking for stuff, and sure we were seeing we could sell to them, but we are not the right fit. So we said, no, we are not the right fit, but I think these companies doing better in this sense. So do it. I think it's anyway not a long-term customer if he comes in with a no in the first place. So don't force the sell. It's not healthy. And you want to have customers being ambassadors, being fans of your product, because that leverage it and leverage the word to mouth. But if you're taking someone of a no and forcing it to a yes, it's not a good start.
And no is great. I mean, at least it's an answer. The worst thing that could happen is no answer. You just, okay, so you get a no. Of course, the question you will ask is, why? 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 And the person will tell you something, and you're just like, okay, well, either it makes sense, or you see it's too big mountain to try to convince this person. You're just like, okay, fine. But you will get information. So every time a no is a gift for you to better understand what didn't go right. Maybe it was not a good target. Maybe you did something bad in the way you explain what you do. So then you work on all of that. So no is great. I mean, I love no. And of course, sometimes, okay, too many no's at the end of the day, it's a little complicated. So do sport, meditation, yoga, whatever. I mean, like, okay, that's the job of a sales. For sales, like, you will have way more no's than yes. Okay, so be used to that. And sometimes you can, it's the middle of the afternoon. It's just like, okay, well, I had so many no's. You're just like, okay, let's go for another 50 no's, and then I go back home. So you chase for the no's. And if someone says yes, you're just like, no, I want to go back home. Say no. And so you're pushing. Okay, well, but it's complicated. Calls and no's. So, yeah. But yeah.
Okay, thank you. Now I want to go back on the how to create sales that will create more sales. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about partnerships, and we're talking about ambassadors as well, like making your customer ambassadors. How do you do that? And is there a question? No? Okay.
Yeah, so not only customers making ambassadors, I think every stakeholder making an ambassador.
Every stakeholder should be an ambassador.
Every stakeholder should be obsessed about your product as you are obsessed. Making them feel inclusive, what you're building, ask them like for the discovery, do it on a regular basis, invite them to events, just nurture the relationship online and offline. I think that's super important. And listening to them at the end. I think that's really how we do product. We don't do product by, hey, I think we have a great idea. Yes, this is also one resource, our brain, but the biggest resource is our stakeholders at the end. So I think this is most important.
Okay, thank you. Anybody has another question for our, yes? Yeah, can you pass the mic? Thank you. Yes, so we have one here and then another one in the back.
Yeah, hello. Thanks a lot for your time here and for the invitation. My name is Hugo. My work is to help ambitious people to increase their capital by 3x in 4 months without moving from their couch. And my question is about social media, because today we have, for example, Reels, Snapchat Reels, etc. That is the best way to get new people. But how not to get lost into the mass of social media and do the right things or privilege LinkedIn? Because I don't know, I'm not much about LinkedIn. I don't have an email list. So how do I do the things better to get new people?
Yeah, first I think we need to ask, is social media right for you? Because it's not for everyone right. So are your customers on social media? Is it the big channel for you to leverage? Because we have so many channels, and again, first we need to test which channels works. And then I think how we do the things, we double down on the channel that works for us. We concentrate 80% of our kind of marketing and sales activities on the channels that works. Can be only 2, can be only 1 even. And then 20% investing into new channels. So for instance, we never have been on TikTok, we never have been really on Instagram. So now we're investing it here. And then it's like, go with the trends. I mean, I'm not an expert on TikTok, to be honest, but we have now an expert. So we hired someone here only for social media. And for us, social media brings a lot because we are a product on LinkedIn. So our customers are on LinkedIn. So we should do something on LinkedIn. I think that's pretty easy. If we, I don't know, would sell to doctors, probably LinkedIn wouldn't be the right platform. So understand really, again, your first ideal customer, understand your persona, where's your persona hanging out, where would you like to hang out as a doctor, and then try to get your message in there. Whatever format it will be, you need to test them. If it's a video format, good for them. Maybe you are selling to older people, maybe they don't watch videos, I don't know, they consume something in magazines. So always try to adapt your content you want to share, first in the channels where your personas are, and then try to find the perfect format for this persona. And that's test.
Yeah,
And
the answer is on the market, not
yes.
in theory.
And again, find kind of people who can leverage it. So again, as I said, for instance, with the ebook we did with HubSpot, we had 5 influencers. So these 5 influencers leveraged our message, so they shared it in their kind of networks, and then our message got bigger. And also when you have like fans or ambassadors, you try to maybe push them a message, hey, we're going to ship that, we want to include you, la 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 la, and then you have a bigger reach.
Yes, and your time is your scarce resource, so you need to focus on something. And for social media and stuff like that, the first thing very important is what is your identity. So make sure you work on your brand before you show it to the people, and what is your goal as well. And if your goal is to convert, people in B2B, right now TikTok is not the best way, but maybe not, I don't know. But yeah, try and try to not spend too much time on too many things.
Yeah. And think it through also. Do you want to have an awareness post for your branding, for instance? Do you want to have an acquisition post? When you have an acquisition post, how do you convert the leads into a funnel? So maybe you set up something automatically. What we did with the ebook, again, because I'm staying with that example, we kind of separated the ebook in different chapters, and for each chapter we did a video. This video we did as an ad, for instance, to LinkedIn, and showed it to the relevant people who consumed the ebook or to a similar audience. Then you do 3 videos, 15 seconds each. When they consumed the first video, you show them the second video and ads, and the third video, and so on. So there can be a lot of content recycled, used again in another format, on another platform, and it can actually work.
And most important, do something that you feel comfortable with. Some people, they really like videos, it's very, very, very complicated. Okay, do something else. It's okay, you know, find your way, like find something that sits to your clients, and to you as well. It's important.
Yeah.
There was a question in the back, and then we'll get back to you.
This is a very interesting discussion. Thank you. My name is Richard Castle. I'm an advocate. I've got a legal practice in London, and I'm seeking to build my legal practice here in Paris. My company is called Lim Miliband in London. I'm looking to set up Lim Mitterrand here in Paris. I don't think Lim McDonald's would have been a good name. However, just listening to what you're saying about increasing your sales, you work heavily with LinkedIn and also with Hotspot and Serum. When you say Serum, does that relate to like a client relationship manager, a CRM, or is it Serum? Are you talking about CRM? So yeah. What my question is, if you're seeking to build professional clients, clients seeking professional services, it's normally billed on an hourly basis or on a retainer package. So enterprises or companies will need perhaps 10 to 20 hours of legal services a month, and they'll provide or make payment on a abonnement, like a subscription service. So there's a product that I'm offering the client, but also it can be done on an hourly basis as a professional advisor or concilier. So as a professional company, if you were to use LinkedIn or other forms of Google Analytics or online presence, how would you be able to distribute, diffuse, or disrupt the market in terms of searching for new clients or being able to build on your revenues on your existing clients and using Hotspot or Serum or LinkedIn? So how would I do that, and what would be the sort of sales process to from beginning to end, and then achieving tangible results in terms of increasing revenues and sales?
Yeah, okay. So if okay, I will try to sum up and you tell me if that's the question that you're asking. So your question is, how do you, with using all of the LinkedIn and HubSpot, so how do you link all of this, and what is the sales process so that you are making sure that whatever you are sharing on social media and all of the work that you do is turning into sales? Is this your question?
It's to do with the product that I'm providing. So I'm obviously providing professional services, and I have particular clients. These clients are, say, CEOs of finance companies or other startups that will need legal services. So my product is that I provide like a subscription service, maybe 10, 20 hours of legal services a month.
Yeah.
Maybe you want contracts drafted, or you want a negotiation with other companies or other enterprises, and you're looking to have an advocate assess your legal risk or your legal position.
Yeah. So what is your specific question about this? Is how?
So how would I sell my product, my subscription service, and using LinkedIn, using Hotspot, using Serum to win new work, new customers, new clients.
Okay.
But at the same time, with my existing clients, how can I use LinkedIn, Hotspot, Serum to build more revenue with my existing clients?
Okay, so it is a lot about, so we have one of the ways that you could like do sales easily is also, instead of like going and finding other customers, how do you upsell your existing customers? Have you done that, or what was your strategy? Was it to like a lot of different customers, or was it to have like a first very powerful customers that you could upsell?
Yeah,
I think it depends on.
Or shall we?
I have a simple solution for you. Like if you want to use LinkedIn and make sure to get clients from LinkedIn, of course use Surf and plug it to your CRM and be very extra processed in the way to build a relationship with your clients and to sell more things, to invite them wherever.
Technically, like what are some? We're sharing a lot of different techniques.
Mm-hmm.
So,
do you showcase on LinkedIn already like the success stories of your clients, for instance? You consult?
One strategy was successful. You can obviously provide testimonials. Your previous clients will provide a summary of your work, almost like a review, in order for future customers and clients to gauge your service and your quality. So that's something that I'm already doing. But what I'm seeking is some sort of a LinkedIn or some sort of hotspot where I'm able to search for new clients.
Okay. So what you could do, for instance, I mean, LinkedIn has a sales navigator. You're using already Sales Navigator? So basically, that's a paid solution of LinkedIn. It makes you search through the whole LinkedIn database with very specific job titles. So then take your clients, again, to the job of my ideal customer is ABC. And in these customers, my ideal persona is whatever, Danny, Mike, you may call it, but the persona needs to have some stats. Where's the living? What is it consuming? What's the pain point? What's the value prop you give to that persona? Then try to find these personas on LinkedIn Sales Navigator and then connect with them in the first place. And here you can obviously use a lot of tools also to automate that stuff. You can even use our tool to get all the lead lists in one click to your CRM, like HubSpot, so you don't need to do it manually again. But I think first is finding the right persona you want to sell to, and then distributing the right content to them. So you're doing a consulting service, for instance. I guess you give free discovery calls away, like 20 minutes free consultancy. You do something like this already?
So
Exactly, exactly. Give them something for free. It will take time, 15 minutes or whatever per persona, but often when it's the right persona and you have the right service for it, you see the conversion and the 15 minutes are well spent at the end. You can automate all the process before, so you don't spend a lot of time on this. Try to focus, that's what we want to achieve for our sales as well, on the selling part, on the consulting part, and that could be a first thing to do. Sales navigator, finding the personas of your current customers, distributing the message of 15-minute discovery call, and then you can take the process together with our connection and HubSpot maybe into your CRM.
And it's easy. You have two ways. Either you let people come to you because you do some videos and some content, so some people will be interested, and maybe you do a call to action when you do something. Or the other way, of course, you go get them, and of course use a sales navigator and stuff like that, and make sure you have steps, processes. Don't try to sell something right now. First, invite them, yes, for a free call, or maybe for an event, for some things like that. Warm them up to the point that they will want you and only you.
Often what we do is, for instance, I connect with the people. I don't send them a connection message because I get so many connection messages and then I think it's spam. I won't do anything for 4 to 6 weeks with them. I just will distribute my content in my network. And if they're in a similar network as I am, they will see my content. So somehow in their subconscious, they maybe heard my name or they read some content about me. And then after 4 to 6 weeks, I reach out to them with something specific, but again, not coming off salesy in the first message, more in the 6th or 7th message. And again, not being salesy, being more like as a, hey, discovery, hey, I'm building something like this. I saw you're also in the same like-minded network, blah, blah, blah. I have a question to you, 50-minute discovery. Maybe you can help me answering that in my product or whatever. And people are like to help. People like to be included in that. And I think you can maybe find something similar for your business as well. But take the time of these 4 weeks before you reach out and spin a lot of content to them in the meanwhile. So you need to be present on LinkedIn then as well.
One of the key things would be also to have, you are, by doing that, from my understanding, what you are doing is that you are building a trust rapport with whoever you're talking to, because people will buy you from the moment that they trust you. And there's a saying in marketing that, like, that's true especially for a B2C product, but that could also be true for services. People want to buy your product only, consider buying your product only after they have seen it 7 times, which is why, like, you have very repetitive ads. The goal is to make you buy after that, to make you, because they know that you're not going to click on the link right away. But it's going to be like the 12th time that you've seen this. And so you've been given time to think about it and then to put it at the front of your purchasing list. So we have a question on the front.
Yes. Hello everyone, my name is Jeremy. Like Vincent said before, I run currently a marketing agency with my father and my brother. But I have 2 problems. It's a 2 short question. Maybe if someone have personal tips about for reduce overthinking and imposter syndrome. I don't know if it's the same. Yes, imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Because I know in every space I want to be perfectionist. I want to be it's perfect. But I know it's not like that. I will have a lot of customer. I need to go to market. Currently, it's okay. I'm more in the market, but maybe I know I can increase that. Do you have tips, personal tips for that?
Yeah, as I said, your product is in the beginning always shit, and you always are afraid of launching it. But even if it's 80% ready, just go into the market and do it. You will see things won't be perfect at the beginning, but it's also not necessary to be perfect. So when imposter syndrome, I know that as well because a friend of mine has it, and I was always asking. So for instance, when we are on events, he was afraid to talk to higher executives. But I said, why are you afraid? Why are you afraid to talk with them? Yeah, because they're way smarter than me or something. Yeah, but it's not the point. It's not the point that they are smarter. So I think what you can do with kind of emotional intelligence, for instance, come off, like ask them something what's more like relationship-oriented, emotional speaking, instead of just factual speaking, because often relationships, customer relationships, are built by emotional intelligence. And never try to be perfect, because you never can be. Get out, get an easy conversation with your clients, speak by the heart, take them to your journey, what you're going through. Even if you're going through some not easy stuff, people want to help. People want to help. And you can even say that to your clients, like, hey, my product is not ready, but I think I want to get there. What is your opinion? What would you do? When you ask, like, what would you do? What would be your answer to go with my product from A to B? And you will see people, actually ask me a question. It's not my home turf, but maybe I have an answer to it. And then you flip side the conversation to your turf. And
yeah, there are two ways to do that. That's the best way. The best way is to tell the truth. Hey, I'm here to, and everyone wants to help, like even the big CEOs and everything. Like, so go for it and just explain the real story. It's a family business. Oh, come on, cute. Okay, so I want to help you. Of course, this person has kids.
That works for real. I've tried
so
it.
that's the best posture. Some other people like another posture, which is to tell everyone that they know they are the experts. Why not? That I have. The good news with that is that there is something in common with every expert. Is that one day they said they were experts, but they were not. But by doing that, you're not. Well, it's written the expert on the what am I saying? I'm sure. Anyways, no. But sometimes you see those people like they go on YouTube and they say like I will explain to you everything about sales. They're 20 years old and they never sold anything. It's just like heck. But time after time, it will work because they will have a lot of interaction, a lot of with people, and they will be able to improve what they do, either their skills or their product. So yes, of course, don't be afraid to talk to people. And the best way is to be like, hey, I'm doing my best. Can you please help me? I'm trying to find solutions. Don't try to sell. Try to get some feedback.
I think that's also, I love your question because it is something that comes a lot in the entrepreneurs at the HC Incubator that are asking. There is a lot about a saying that we often use, that is, if you are proud of your product and service the moment you put it on the market, it is because you've put it too late. Because you should be ashamed of your product when you put it on the market because it's not ready yet. But the thing that you have to keep in mind is also that like perfect for you is not perfect for your customers. And there is no way that you can read through people's minds, or if you do, definitely do a business of that. But you cannot read people's minds, and the only way to read people's minds is to get feedback and tell them, okay, what do you want in this product? Because they're the ones that are going to buy it. So maybe you're like, it's not perfect for me. And some people even say, what my customers want is not what I wanted. And what my customers want is as far as what I wanted. Actually, they don't want it to be shiny. They want it to be working. This is like a general phrase, but just to tell you that like perfectionism is good because you want to appear professional, but you also have to show a part of vulnerability. And it reminds me of a lot of the advice of like how to fight imposter syndrome is to show vulnerability. So you can apply this to yourself and your business as well.
Okay, thank you. And I have a second question. Like it's the beginning of the agency. Currently, I offer my service for free or very cheap. Do you think it's a good strategy for have a beginning of client for portfolio, or it's better to directly try to sell because I know our value in the market?
Right now, to me, when you start, you don't need money. Although, yes, you need money, but no, you don't need money. You need ambassadors. That's what you were saying earlier. So if you have people that you've been working with and they will love you so much that they will be able to do a video testimonial or something like that, then it will be very easy for you to sell. Like, you know, all the people going into freelancing, they start sometimes free, maybe not, because if it's free, it has no value, but ask for something in return. Maybe you can be like, okay, well, if you were a freelancer, okay, usually it's 500 a day, but okay, I have a solution for you. If you cannot pay, I can make it 200, but you make a video if you're happy. And then you see, so yeah. And by the way, your company has no name?
I have a name. It's Lumium Media.
See, that's important. Every time you have an occasion to speak about what you have to do, you just start with the name. So at least 2,000 people heard about it now. Okay, let's.
Yes.
Also, I just got one idea, for instance, to getting with the imposter syndrome. And I think what's also sometimes pretty important to know, we all have egos. So, and some of us treat them better, some of them treat them worse. And sometimes egos are like little monsters that can grow on us. It's on the other person's side as well. So when you talk, for instance, with the CEO, from the outside, he may have a big ego. And you can also make use of this ego. So one of the few things we did, for instance, at the beginning to get big clients and customers is we went to kind of see event pages where like big people, head of whatever, were speaking. Obviously, I didn't have the time to travel to the US. So I was saying, hey, I just arrived later in the US, or I wanted to go to the event, but I didn't have the time. But actually, I saw that you were speaking about this, and I had 2 questions about this. No one is coming after an event per email. By the way, you can use Surf to find the email. Is coming around with questions, and then this person is like touched by the ego. Oh, someone was interested really in something about what I talked, and he came with 2 questions. And this was one of the alternative ways where I got within 1 week in touch with a CEO of a 10 billion company and had a call with him just by finding alternative ways, touching ego, because again, emotional intelligence, and then they reply actually. So
everything is about ego. Even when you ask for help to someone, basically what you say is not, give me some help. What you say is that, wow, I value so much your position and all the knowledge that you have. Can you please give me some of it? And later on, you'll be able to say in dinners that you've helped this company. So yes, that's very important. Yes. And sometimes for small, it's very difficult. You do an agency, but when you do a SaaS product, sometimes, when you will speak to big corporation, they're just like, okay, well, they don't want to start with a startup because it's risky. But you can be like, yeah, but you're not talking to a startup. You're talking to this very big company that we will be in the future. And for all of our life, we'll remember about our first customer, and for all the interviews we'll make in the press and on TV, in the New York Times and so on, we will remember about our first client and maybe the person within the company who helped this solution to get in. So, you play on the ego
and play on the human side. You're not like need to like a company because hey, you're a young company. Doesn't matter. It's the person you're talking to. And when you kind of set the initial discussion on a person basis, it has another vibe because you're not talking with your history of the company or whatever, so it's not feeling like touching or whatever. But if you have a person-to-person conversation, then it's about, hey, this guy is great, he's doing some great stuff, I feel like we could part of it, let's do it together. Company name, whatever you have around, doesn't matter. It's really, again, then human to human.
Great. So we have one last question, and I also have a question online, and then we're gonna have plenty of time to discuss.
Okay, David, congratulations for your big expansion with Surf. I'm really interested, circling back to the topic of today. How did you reach 1 million sales in less than 2 years without sales team? And moving forward, you've raised now 4 million. Where will you spend these 4 millions in terms of sales expansion? Will you do the traditional sales-led motion, and knowing that you've used product-led growth so far, which is great? And finally, to open up, where do you see the future of sales, knowing that now we'll have generative AI, writing emails for sales rep, even making content online and so on? Where do you see the future?
So to start, it always starts with an easy, simple product you're building. And as I said, you're building screwdrivers, do the value gaps to 100%, go to the next feature. And by creating a simple product, and sometimes you also need to strip down your product. When you see a feature is not working, strip it down. Because you need to make the people understand what is your product doing from the first 30 seconds. So have the shortest time to value when you start experiencing a product. And then you maybe feel in love with the product. So that's the first thing, doing great products. then on the back end, having data that analyzes the product usage. Because then you can, for instance, in the onboarding period, you can personalize the onboarding even better. So that's working on the conversion rate. So that's the first step, doing great product with first customers who are believers in your product. And then finding the right partners to leverage this and not taking shortcuts. Bootstrap journey gives you learnings, and it's super important to go through that learnings. Imagine we would have money at the beginning. Maybe we would said, yeah, we need to hire sales because we need to make revenue. But then we would never have the thinking of product-led growth. We would never think self-service is the way. And self-service is the way to scale, for instance. If we would have started with sales, maybe you think sales coming in, sales making money, sales coming in, sales making money. Shortcut. You never went through the learning. And I think that's also what gets you then to a later stage, because you asked. We are hiring a few sales because it's required for high-touch clients like Google and Amazon. But we will stick to our truth of a self-service product. So we try to onboard the customer from day one on his own. And for instance, recently we got Frischti, and they completely onboarded with 30 licenses on their own. They just asked at the end, can I have a discount? So there was a bit of a sales touch at the end needed, but we want to really build a self-service product to scale at the end. Because when you're then a Series B or C company, you realize, fuck, I have 200 salespeople. I need to hire more to get more revenue, because you skip these learnings at the beginning. So I think this is super important. And
Yeah, and a good product makes sales, not salespeople. Like sometimes you see CEOs are just like, okay, well, now I have a product, I need to boost my sales. Let's hire some salespeople. No, make sure that you have the perfect product for your perfect persona.
And sales also need to love your product. So for instance, we are selling our product to salespeople, so salespeople are selling to salespeople, which makes sense. So we have a nice discussion. So we don't need to come off with sales tricks or whatever, because the other person will realize and find out. So I think making your own kind of team, believers and obsessed about your product, makes sales so much easier, because you don't be forced to sell something because you love it. And
marketing is more powerful than sales. Like marketing is like people coming to your products instead of you pushing for the product. You should never push for the product. Yeah. You just have to work on awareness, and sometimes you have to bring your phone for that. But yeah, the product should sell.
Thank you very much. I think that's a wonderful conclusion to our Doers to Doers. Thank you very much, Vincent, for having accepted to come here today and share your expertise. Thank you very much, David, for sharing your experience with us. Thank you to the public who has asked a lot of questions, and you really made this conversation really dynamic. So thank you very much to all of you for your questions. Thank you, Emma, for assisting, and thank you, HEC Records, for the video that will be available on replay. And so our next rendezvous is next week. So next week it is not going to be an online session. It is going to be in person only, and we're going to work with two experts on how to boost your startup in media. And our next Doers to Doers is going to be on the 6th of April on how to sell to big companies and how to manage the relationship with big companies. So stay tuned for the next events, and of course subscribe to the Substack. We will give you all of the links through email for the people who have attended. Thank you very much, and we can switch to a more informal discussions now. Tell us when we.
Thank you.
Thank you.